every emotion that you can have as a person, art can evoke and provoke within you. And that's something that nothing else can. Everyone sees an artwork the way they see it, and it has nothing to do with intellect, with knowledge, with education. It does something for you, and I think that's what people look for.
The artist is the more vital part of the equation, but if the artist is going to stay vital, i.e. if they're going to eat, the collector becomes pretty important.
This is chicken and egg question, yeah? Which one first? Yeah? But I believe in artists.
It's night and day. You need both. It's like an actor on the stage alone without an audience. It's the yin and yang.
The artist needs the collector. It's a kind of mirror. Having an exhibition which sells out or an exhibition which doesn't has to affect his work and his thinking. And that doesn't mean he's just catering, but he's part of the process.
No artist wants to see their work just sit in someone's living room. I mean, that's really not what they're in it for, or to just sell it for a price, no matter how much money it's sold for. Any good artist wants to, it has a message.
Thank you, sir. The first painting required 2 Christmases and 2 birthdays for my father to bought it. I was 15.
The first work I ever bought was at a dinner at Halston's house, and Victor Hugo took me upstairs. He was making these large Statue of Liberties. I don't know, he was very animated, and he got me very excited about them, and that was it.
The first piece of art I ever purchased was a Picasso drawing, and I saved up all my money for it, and I bought it, and I put it on my wall, and I lived in sort of a dingy, crappy apartment. I had a mattress on the floor and, you know, sort of a homemade table that I used as a desk, but I had a Picasso on the wall. And it was amazing.
I got a Shenzhen installation in Sotheby's auction. That actually opened my whole mind. That piece was chair. You can sit in with a drum, but actually the drum make it kind of the toilet sound, you know, when you flash, something like that. So it gives me a kind of inspiration that actually art is everywhere. Art is coming from nothing. It's coming from ordinary people.
Some people want to be constantly challenged by art. There are many collectors who like very dark and mystical things. There are collectors that like very happy things. There are collectors that just like red things.
I don't collect just art. Art is a part of what I collect. My personal passion is Napoleon III, so there's a lot of paintings, sculpture, and things relating to him, but then also letters, documents, and what the French would call souvenirs. I mean, right down to the socks his son was wearing the day before he was killed in Zululand.
Some people buy because they are born collectors and they want to own something. A lot of people appreciate art and love it, and they don't have the desire to own it. But the desirability is when something is very rare, something is of very high quality, and it talks to you.
You can collect as a stamp collector, which means filling in gaps. Or you can look at the bigger picture, which is collecting icons or collecting art that means a lot to you, that you're moved by.
Some people care deeply, deeply, deeply about the art. Other people collect because it brings them social stature. It fills their rooms. It's an asset class. I mean, there's all sorts of reasons why people collect, but I have to say most collectors I know really do have that passion for the object.
People have been waiting for a piece of art for the whole lifetime, and when it comes up, the desire to own it is very important.
One can be having a perfectly normal day, and then all of a sudden, one sees something, one reacts viscerally, and in the case of one great Victorian painting that I ended up buying, was sort of pacing around all night, figuring out what I'd have to sacrifice in order to raise the funds to get it.
We have a Matisse drawing, we have 3 Francis Bacon drawings, de Kooning drawing. I look at those things and I love to think about the fact that at some point in those artists' lives, they made these things. You know, I think about where were they, what were they thinking, what were they doing, what was their day like.
Art is part of human relationships, and I think that's what's interesting to me about it. The stories, the background, and the people, and perhaps somewhat less the possession of the thing. I have a Murakami that I've always loved. He tells the story that his mother would have been nuked in the town next to Nagasaki, but that town had a cloud over it, so the bomb had to be dropped in Nagasaki. And had it not been for that cloud, he would have died by a nuclear blast. And I always loved this particular thread because I felt that it related to his story.
In terms of my own collecting enthusiasms, I really love the English 19th century Victorian paintings. And part of the fun of that was you could literally then go through contemporary journals and find out what Ruskin thought about an object that you were hoping to buy, or what Thackeray wrote about it, or just the regular reviewer at the art journal. But it was so near and yet so far.
I think that everybody that does collect art is interested in history, because an object really is a contemporaneous finger on the pulse of when it was made. There's no better gauge of history than a painting or a sculpture.
I've constantly evolved and changed and discovered new. And I think that's what's fun about collecting, is you don't have to stay in the same place. Just like the world turns, and you can keep turning with it.
Buying what you like, it may or may not turn out to be a great investment, but you've had the pleasure of enjoying it and appreciating it, which is part of the joy of it. But to collect strictly with the idea of realizing it's the potential commercial thing is a pretty sterile exercise.
The collection shouldn't be a kind of the so-called investment. If you are investing in artworks, actually it's not investing for yourself. It's investing for your generations. We are just a kind of the keeper. We spend a lot of money to keep them, but eventually, and these works belong to generations to the generations.
The people that you see buying all this art, and they look after it for a period of time. In some cases a short period, or sometimes a lifetime, but in the end that's what's happening to the art. It's just changing hands, and the values sometimes go up, sometimes go down. Sometimes it goes to a museum, never comes out again. Sometimes they deaccession it, but it's just world culture moving around.
I believe that eventually I will die, but the artwork's still there. So we are only the keeper. And that's why I said to a lot of friends, my children will enjoy the fruits, and I enjoy the process. Like making baby, the best is the process.